Welcome on into the My Take, Your Take podcast. We are running up the second episode here today. It's myself, Triple Crown Media, and my guy Mel Simmons. How you doing today, Mel?
What up, people? Mets fans everywhere. You already know what time it is. It's a crazy time to be a Mets fan. So I'm excited. I know you're excited. We'll have a great show today. Let's get it.
Yes, sir. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast on all platforms we're putting it out on. We're putting it out on YouTube and Spotify currently. We're going to be working on putting it on other platforms currently, so keep a lookout for that, and we're going to be on our way with the show. So I think, as everybody knows, Carlos Correa has signed with the New York Mets over the past week. It is crazy. It is insane. My heart is beating so, like, it's still pumping right now. Like, I can't believe it. And it's been a day. It's getting almost on 2 days. And I'm just still like butterflies almost about having just another great player on the Mets, man.
Yeah, man. This might just be the craziest offseason in Mets history.
It's definitely up there. I mean, we brought back all the players that we wanted to bring back besides DeGrom, and I have a feeling that he wasn't – everything that's been reported, it doesn't feel like he was priority number one in the first place.
Well, I think they knew that the relationship.
Yeah, and they knew that he kind of wanted to leave.
Yeah, he wanted to get out. I mean, and I look at it both ways. I mean, at one point, on one hand, I'm like, the Mets did DeGrom right from a contractual standpoint. Okay, they paid him. They wasn't complaining. They've been sympathetic to his injuries. I mean, he was scheduled to make 32 million this year, 36 million next year, somewhere around that ballpark. Had he not opted out, I mean, that's a pretty good contract to me based off of the amount of games that he was playing. Especially since during that time he got the contract, that was with the Wilpons. They kind of broke the bank for their standards for DeGrom to pay him. So I think the Mets did right by him. I think they also did right by offering him a 3-year deal, $40 million a year. I thought that was good. They wanted him back, but hey, man, we'll give you a 3-year deal. On the other hand, is one can argue that it really ain't too much to argue about why he would want to leave. If DeGrom was on a team that supplied more runs for him, instead of being 500 in wins, or roughly around 500, he'd easily have 20, 30 more wins on his record and a more stronger Hall of Fame case. So I look at it both sides. It kind of ran its course. It ain't nothing personal. I know Met fans are a little salty about it, but at the end of the day, you can't have a pitcher of his caliber and talent level be a 500 pitcher. He deserved more from the Mets, from the actual play side of the deal. So contractual, I think the Mets were fair. I think they were fair with what they offered him. But I think it kind of ran its course on him. The lack of production that the team had for him and the lack of run support. And also, like, people don't realize, like, there's a lot of taxes in New York. That 120, you gotta pay a lot of taxes here. So, you get Texas to come with the 185, no state tax.
A lot of taxes.
Games for the season. I mean, hey, money talks. So I like I said, I like to look at it from both ways when it comes to DeGrom. I'm not salty about it. I wish him the best. He's a great player for us, and that's kind of where I stand on it. What's your thoughts? On the DeGrom leaving?
Yeah, no. Honestly, over it. That's the best way I can describe it, man. I'm good for him. Get the bag. Just like be honest in your press conference. Don't talk about the vision that they're building in Texas, because just look at what the Mets have done this offseason and tell me about that vision. That's all. That's all I gotta say. Like, I'm pretty sure that vision up in Queens is nice and bright, and I think we're gonna be in the dance a lot quicker than Texas. I can tell you that.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, the Mets,
like, just being a guessing man, but
Yeah, of course. I mean, the Mets tried to do right by putting a better quality team around him. You know, we didn't get a chance to let it play out. Me personally, I think he should have let it ride for the last 2 years of his contract, prove he was healthy. Somebody would have still paid him if the Mets enough, or the Mets would have paid him if he just came back healthy. But hey, I mean, he got life-changing income now. And his family should be set for a pretty long time with that contract that he's just got. So I understand it. I understand why he left. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, let's talk about Carlos. So I definitely think that he is going to change this lineup immediately. I guess we'll tackle two birds with one stone, just talking about how he'll affect the lineup and just overall affect the team. His defense is going to play a huge role on the left side of the infield. I mean, Escobar's a decent defender. I mean, we were playing Beatty also during last season for a little bit at the end, but I don't know how much. I remember you were saying before we started this that you thought that they were going to play Beatty a lot at third and possibly try Correa at second.
Yeah, that's what I would do if I was the Mets. I really don't think that going into the season with Canna and left field is what the Mets want to do. If you look at some of the moves that they're making, they just picked up that second baseman that, you know, has 4 years left of control. He's supposed to be a pretty decent hitter. I don't think he's the answer either. He's not the everyday guy, but things are like pointing to the direction that they want to fill that second base with somebody other than McNeil, and maybe move McNeil out left and use Canna as a fourth outfielder, and then figure out the second base situation. Technically, maybe you could put Guillorme in there, but what's his offense? Are we going to expect like the same return on offense that he had last season? Is he going to hit, 280, 300 like he was doing before he got hurt? That remains to be seen. He had kind of like a breakout year as far as being a contact hitter and getting hits. So I think all signs is kind of pointing to the Mets trying to figure out this second base and left field situation and the DH situation. The addition of Carlos Correa, that just allows the lineup to look a lot better. Like, we won't be seeing the Darren Ruffs of the world and the Tyler Naquins and the subpar hitting that we saw last season. So, I mean, I would consider putting Correa at second. He has the range. You got to think also with the shift change rules. Where do you want that additional range at that you have Correa? Do you want it at second because the shift is not allowed and he had more range, or do you want him at third base? So that's going to be something that the Mets have to consider, this year, because who's going to play second that has the range that he has? Nobody on our team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I also at the same time, I think Jeff McNeil played almost a Gold Glove caliber second base last year when he was playing second base. So if they do find a bat before free agency is over and before the offseason is over to put in left field, I do believe that they're just going to have to end up alternating DHs with. See you later. They're just going to have to end up alternating DHs with Beatty or Alvarez if Alvarez isn't their everyday catcher, which I think they really should try to if they can defensively try to transition him into that. I mean, obviously his bat has to keep up. Like if he's hitting 250 even with pop, I want him in the lineup.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I want him in the lineup. So if he gets to that level and he's not a liability on the defensive end and people aren't running all over him, like when we're playing Trey Turner in the Phillies, we're not giving up 5 stolen bases a game every single game.
Right.
So yeah, no. I think what were you saying?
No, go ahead. I mean, it's like, what's your thoughts on like that idea that you can put Correa as second frees up the lineup. You could put McNeil in left. You could put Beatty at third, and Alvarez at DH.
Yeah, it's just if Beatty can play. That's the biggest thing. Like if his third base, because like we didn't sign Carlos Correa to be a second baseman. I don't think that's why we signed him. I think this is just a clear Beatty. I think, like I said before we went live, I think this is a clear indication that somebody's getting traded. I think that Mauricio or Beatty might get traded in the future. I don't think it's going to be for a reliever like a Liam Hendricks. I think that might be a Vientos kind of trade if we can do that.
Right.
I don't know if a Carlos Carrasco gets that done. Maybe both of them for Liam Hendricks gets that done. Which I don't know about you, but I'm all for that.
I mean, I'll do it. I mean, you talk about potentially having the best bullpen in baseball with the best closer in baseball with gotta be a top 5 starting rotation at the minimum.
Yeah, it just sounds like an Astros Mets collision on a collision course.
Yeah.
At that point, it just sounds like both the teams, the Mets built with a little more contact, but the Astros with a little more power, but they both are top to bottom, just every single position. They're hitting 250 or higher. They can hit a ball out of the park, most of them. I mean, obviously, there's a couple people in the lineup for the Mets that can't hit the ball out of the park consistently, like a Jeff McNeil or normally a Brandon Nimmo, but hopefully he can get ads. We don't want no ads. Hopefully he can. Hopefully everybody can hit for a little more pop this year, because that's something we're missing. I mean, even with a Carlos Correa, like he's a good bat, like he's an amazing bat, but he's not a crazy power hitter either.
Yeah, but you can get 20 to 25. I mean,
which is nice. That's like a little bit less than a Lindor, I think.
Yeah, we'll take that. 20, 25 from him, 25 to 30 from Pete, 20 to 25 from Lindor. You know, now we starting to creep up. I mean, I don't really think the Mets can go into next season thinking that it's okay to be 15th, 16th, 17th in the majors and home runs.
No.
I think we need to get a little bit more. If we get Alvarez to give us 15 to 20 in his first year consistently as a DH, okay, well, that's about 80 to 85 home runs just from those 4 guys. You know, we got to hit more than that. So, you know, Marte is going to give you 10 to 15. Can we get 10 to 15 out of Nimmo? You know, we got to piece it together. You really want to be around the 150, 175 in the homers at the minimum, somewhere in that ballpark as a team. So, you know, they're gonna have to find out where they're going to get the rest of them at. Is it going to be the Brett Beatties of the world? It's going to be the Mark Vientos. Is going to be the Ronnies? Where the rest of the power going to come from? Is it going to be the Escobar? You know, the thing is they have the pieces to have a little bit more power than what was going on, you know, last season. So for me, the Carlos Correa thing is something that changes the entire ball game for the Mets and allows them to be a lot more flexible with everything, lineups, who they have. Like you're just looking at 3 guys right there on your mock that could be a DH, you know, and Escobar is a switch hitter. So if we get the Escobar at the end of the season, do we put Escobar as the everyday DH? I wouldn't be opposed to that if he can put up the kind of production that he did at the end of the season last year. So this really does change everything for the Mets. My thoughts is, what are we doing at left field? I know on both of your mocks, you have Mark Canha. On my mock that I sent you, I don't have Mark Canha in the lineup as a starter, and we'll go over that a little bit later. So walk me through your mock-ups, your 1 and 2, why you did that, and I'll talk about my mock-up, what I would do if I was the Mets.
All right, yeah. So I got Nemo leading off for both of my mock-ups here. I got a couple more mock-ups in my head, but these are the two I got down at the moment. So yeah, no, I got Nemo leading off. I mean, I think that's self-explanatory. He's one of the best leadoff hitters in baseball, considerably. He gets on base really effectively. Marte, I have at number 2 on the first mock-up. Marte hit second. He seemed pretty comfortable all season hitting second. When he was in the 2 hole, he hit almost 300 consistently. And so I think if that part isn't broke, don't fix it. And then the lineup kind of just continues as it was last year, but then you plug in Carlos Correa in the DH hole. I mean, you take Pete Alonso after Lindor, so it's gonna be Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, Alonso, and then Correa, and then McNeil. And then Correa has protection with McNeil behind him, and then we're gonna plug in a DH after that. And whether or not that's hopefully not a Daniel Vogelbach, hopefully not a Daniel Vogelbach,
Right.
but Escobar and Alvarez I got there for DH or a Beatty. I didn't know I have Beatty on there, but I'd rather. Oh wait, that's not. Oh, okay, that's cool. I didn't know I could go full screen on that. Yeah, I'd rather have a Beatty in here than a Vogie.
And you got Mark Hanna as the ninth hitter. Okay.
Yeah, so I got good explanation for that in regards to like if I know you you really don't like Mark Hanna. I gotcha.
I don't like him. I don't like him as the starter. He can come
Yeah.
off the bench. He can be a fourth outfielder. But go ahead.
Yeah, I think he's like unless we do find a better piece for that, and we might already have one in the guy that I don't know his name by heart, but the guy that we got today, the utility guy, he might be better than Mark Hanna in left field. You never know. It might be Brett Beatty in left field, like we were talking about. But yeah, Mark Hanna can get on base. He gets on base a lot. He led the team, I think, on getting on base this year. His numbers on that are crazy. His numbers on slugging were down. I'm pretty sure his OPS was down. But I think he has a shot to have a little bit of a bounce back year if he does have the playing opportunity. But if he doesn't, like you said, he might be the fourth outfielder if we can get a third outfielder.
Right. Yeah, I mean, listen, the Mets going to go into the season either with him out there left or McNeil. To me, that's the only real two options. We wasn't terribly impressed with what we saw from Beatty defensively last season. I don't know what your thoughts were on him. He definitely has a lot of growth to go as a defender in this league. So are we going to take him and throw him in left field? I seriously doubt that the Mets is going to do that. So to me, there's only two options the way the roster is currently constructed, and that is Mark Hanna or Jeff McNeil. As I said earlier, the signs that it looks like to me the Mets are showing is that it's either going to be McNeil or somebody else out there, and Mark Hanna is going to be the fourth outfielder. That's what I believe that's going to happen. My lineup is a little bit similar to yours. Though I dropped Lindor in the lineup to be the protection for Pete. I have my reasons for that, but I got Nimbo as leadoff. I'd like for him to, maybe get a little bit more aggressive on the base pads, but he's been solid. I mean, the numbers is there. He gets on base, contact hitter. So I got Marte, number 2, similar to you, as you said. He was lighting it up in a 2-hole last season before he got hit in the hand. I think he can put up similar numbers. That guy's a professional hitter, Marte.
Yeah.
He's a hitter.
I like him.
And I got Correa in the 3-hole. So I'm going to put Correa at number 3 with Pete behind him. And then I will go with Lindor. I will go with Jeff McNeil in left field. Alvarez as the DH. Beatty at third base. And Navarez as my catcher. So that's what I would do if I was the Mets. And I think that Alvarez can potentially split time with Escobar as DH. So we can allow Alvarez to catch on some days. And we got to see what we do with Nito. So if you got Alvarez and Narvaez both catching, what does that leave Nito at? Is Nito now a trade piece as well? Or do we keep him as a backup? Or do we just make Alvarez the every DH? Listen, this DH thing is permanent. If they throw Alvarez out there and he hits good and he starts lighting it up the way Pete Alonso did, who cares if he catches? The DH spot is always there. We could just keep him permanently as a DH. This isn't like how it used to be where we only had DH when we was playing in an American League ballpark. This is both leagues now. So if Alvarez is that great of a hitter and he comes in and he starts hitting, why not just leave him at DH? He doesn't have to catch. We have another catching prospect in the minors that's supposed to be phenomenal with defense. You can bring him up to catch. So the Mets have that flexibility now with their roster that Alvarez don't got to catch. I don't know why Met fans keep saying we're stunting his growth and we're doing all that. He don't have to be a catcher.
No, he doesn't. He really doesn't.
I got to. If the guy can give us 25 to 30 home runs and he going to put fear in opposing pitchers, oh, yeah, I want him at my DH. I'm throwing him in DH every day, designated hitter. That's what I would do until we get Ohtani. Because you already know if they get Ohtani, what the deal is going to be. So if the play is really to get Ohtani, then maybe you don't make Alvarez the everyday DH because you're like, eventually you're going to have to catch. But if you're not that confident you're going to get Ohtani, then Alvarez has to be the everyday DH. He has the power. He's a really good hitter, and he's young, and he's under team control. I'm throwing Alvarez out there and see what he does. That's just me. And let Escobar get some of those games. But to me, that's what I would do as a lineup. You talking about Lindor hitting in the 6th spot?
Yeah, what you think about that? You think that's whack, or what you think about that?
I like it. I think it's sick.
So the lineup I got right now for audio listeners is Nimmo in the 1 hole, McNeil hitting 2, Marte in the 3, Correa hitting cleanup, Alonso in the 5th, Lindor hitting 6th, DH, whoever that is, Alvarez, Escobar, whoever, Beatty hopefully in left field for 8th, and then Narvaez, I think that's how you pronounce his name, at catcher, or Nito at catcher. I also have an idea on why they got Narvaez. I know we talked about this a little bit in the first episode, but nationality-wise, he's Venezuelan. He's a Venezuelan catcher, and Alvarez is also Venezuelan, so there could definitely be. I mean, I think that's 100% not why they got him, but it's definitely a plus in regards to being a mentor for Alvarez, hopefully. Because Nito's all right. He's a decent catcher, but he's not a starting catcher. He doesn't have the offense for a starting catcher. He's a great defensive catcher, but he's not an Alvarez. He's not an Alvarez type of guy.
Right. I mean, I like the lineup, but McNeil's not going to bat second. He like batting lower in the lineup. So we basically got the same lineup, except I got Lindor batting 5th. So we have the exact same lineup. McNeil, he really likes to hit lower in the order. I don't see the Mets typically moving him up, but we could see if that's something that they are open to doing. You know what I mean? So I mean, I had Nimmo, Marte, Correa, Pete, Lindor, McNeil, Alvarez, Beatty, and Narvaez. So, I mean, I'm not sure what you guys think. I mean, put in the chat in the comments what you guys think y'all lineup for the Mets would be. If y'all agree, do you guys have Kana out there as your everyday left fielder? Do you guys think there's other options? Do y'all think that the Mets are looking to plug that second base and that left field spot, because we already know what they're going to do with the DH. It's going to be a combination of Alvarez, Escobar, or Vogelback. Like that's going to be what it is for the Mets. But what do y'all think they're going to do at second and left field? Because if you can leave Jeff McNeil in second base. I agree with you on that. But what are we doing with left field? Because I don't think Beatty's ready to go to left field.
I think that's something we're just probably gonna have to find out during spring training. I think they're gonna have to test him out there because he's not ready for third. He didn't look even close to ready for third. He looks scared.
Right.
Like he looks like he's gonna be a really good kid in the league, but me saying kid, he's the same age as me. I think he's the same age as me.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is an exciting time to be a Mets fan. I mean, we could talk all day about what we think the potential lineups can be, what the Mets are going to do. The best news is there's options. There's significantly more options than there was last year. And we don't have the auto outs that was in the lineup last year. There were just guys that came. Tyler Naquin, that was an out. Darren Ruff, that was an out. We're not going to be seeing these dudes. James McCann, that was like an auto out. You know what I mean? So, like, can't have three guys on the lineup that just having that tough of a time at the plate. And the Mets getting Correa, that just changed the whole ball game. Like, you're not gonna see three guys on the Mets next season batting under 200. It's not gonna happen.
No.
So, or batting 200 or 225, like those days.
No James McCann's.
Yeah. Those days should be coming to an end. No Darren Ruffs. No, you know what I mean. So, I'm very, very excited to see, where this goes. Now, the Mets is getting a lot of flack right now from other teams. You even got the Yankees hating on the Mets.
I got a banner for that.
Yeah, we're ruining the game and everything else. Like, what's your thoughts on this? Stephen A. Smith, he said he loved, what the Mets did. He believes if you wanna be the best, you gotta pay for the best. You gotta go out and get these people. And I think like the Mets is getting a little bit unjustly treated here. You got guys handing out $300 million contracts left and right. Look at how many crazy contracts the Padres have. And they're going to try to re-sign Juan Soto. Them dudes have got everybody. So I'm like, okay, you got the Phillies. They got a lot of crazy contracts over there. The Dodgers got a lot of crazy contracts. You seeing teams just handing out this money, and they thought the Mets wouldn't get in on that? I mean, what you think?
I think it's ludicrous that people are hating on the Mets for spending money after the Mets have been basically a poverty franchise for I don't know how many years now. Not to offend anybody by saying that, but like, Jesus, the Mets have been a bottom feeder in this league for 20 years now, besides the blip in 2015 and 16, but we don't talk about 16 because that didn't exist.
Right.
But no, yeah, I think it's most fans, especially Christopher Russo. If anybody sees that banner, I don't know if you saw that video or his take on it, but he's a Giants fan.
Yeah, he's a little salty.
So he is so salty, missing out on Aaron Judge, and then now he's doing this. So he's so salty about everything that's been going on. But no, my overall take on the Mets spending a lot of money is it's good for baseball. It should bring in more people to watch the games. It should bring in more money. It is bringing more money into the game. Whether people knew it or not, for all these other teams, the more money Steve Cohen spends, the more money your team and your owner has to spend on their team. Because that tax money goes to them.
Right.
It doesn't just disappear. It goes to the other owners. And so Steve Cohen is actually helping the other owners in a little bit of a way every time he spends his money. But it's not like he's signing ludicrous contracts. Everything is smart. He hasn't handed out anything that is over $200 million this year. Not a single contract that he's signed during this offseason is over $200 million. The
Except
Phillies, like you, huh? No, Correa isn't over $200 million, is it?
It's 315.
Oh yeah, it is.
315 for 12 years.
Okay.
Yeah, outrageous contract. So we got two $300 million guys now. But there's other teams with like three $300 million guys. I'll be wondering like how they affording to pay all these people. Like how did the Phillies get Trey Turner?
Because they all spread it out. But it's not that they do multiple. The thing is, Texas did multiple last offseason. They brought in almost $1 billion in their infield, and nobody was complaining like they were about the Mets. But it's just ironic that the Mets, being a team that hasn't done anything for the last 20 years besides that one 2015 run in regards to spending and in regards to free agency, they don't get any of the top dogs. So when they get a reigning American League Cy Young winner, that's a big deal. The Mets don't get those free agents often. And this year, they brought they brought in 4 out of 5 of the top free agents that they were actually targeting. The only one that they lost was Jacob deGrom.
Right. No, I mean, listen, the people don't care about what Texas did because they're not going to win anything. So the Mets is striking a little bit of fear because this tax and this payroll is really nothing to this dude. It's not even, they said it's not even 2% of his wealth. There's nothing to him. So, I mean, that's what makes them scared. It isn't that they spending the money. That money that Texas spends, like that means something to them. It means absolutely nothing to Cohen what he's spending. Like if Ohtani hits the market next year and his market is $450 million and he wants to play for the Mets, Cohen will cut that check for $450 million. 10 years.
He's gonna be the first $500 million player.
I don't know if they're gonna give him 5.
They're gonna pay him for pitching too, because you gotta think about it. If Mike Trout gets 420 in 2019, you don't think Ohtani's probably gonna because it's gonna be a bidding war. You gotta put that in mind too. So it's not just gonna be unless somebody trades for him. Like for example, if we put together a master Ohtani trade and we trade for him so we can lock him up.
Even still, you trade for him, he don't got to sign.
No, he doesn't have to, but he also has that no trade clause. I'm pretty sure we're the only team that he can be traded to without his permission is the Mets.
Right. But no, I mean, he's not going to get 500. I think my guess is between 4 because he's a little bit. How old is Ohtani?
I think he's like 26.
I'll look it up. Tell me how old he is. He might get 450. I mean, my point is, if he wants to play for the Mets and his value is $450 million, Steve Cohen's going to cut that check, and that's going to be dangerous for the Mets. Like you're talking, even with the guys we have now, if you put Ohtani in the starting rotation and put him as DH, this is unquestionably the best team on paper.
He's 28, by the way.
Right, he's 28. So I mean, what you going to give him? 10 years tops. So you 10 years, 450. You're not going to take that deal. So I mean, at the end of the day, for me, like you put him on this team at DH and as a starting pitcher in this rotation, and on paper, the Mets is the best team. Period. So
just imagine that.
You said what?
I said, just imagine this lineup, like one of these lineups with like plugging in an Ohtani for like a DH spot. That's the one thing though. He's gonna plug up the DH spot if we get an Ohtani. So like an Alvarez needs to be able to learn how to catch.
And that type of scenario earlier. But I mean, for now, we don't got Ohtani, so I'm putting Alvarez at DH.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. When he's a defensive liability, or if he is a defensive liability, definitely put him in at a DH. But if we get into a scenario where, and it's only going to be on Actually, no, it's going to be every day besides the day that he pitches. So that might be a problem.
No, even when he pitches, he's going to DH. That's a rule. He can hit while he pitches.
Really?
So a Ohtani rule they put in like 2 seasons ago. Yeah, no, he gonna be the everyday. He gonna be the everyday DH. I mean, at the end of the day, respectfully, I think Alvarez is gonna be a great player. But if Ohtani's on his team, he's the DH over everybody. That's a done deal. It ain't even a debate.
Ohtani's the man.
Yeah, it's not even gonna be a debate. I mean, that guy is crushing baseballs.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it wouldn't even that. But like I said, Steve Cohen's pulling the trigger on that, and that's what's scary to the rest of the league. So now we got $200-300 million guys, and we can afford a $400 million guy, and it don't even hurt them. That's why they complaining. So we'd have Lindor, Correa, Ohtani, and then we have Max and Verlander for 1 more year. And then we have Diaz. And that's a lot. The league is on notice that Steve Cohen is willing to spend the money to get the top people. So in order for somebody to take Ohtani from the Mets, you might be right. They might have to go to the $500 million to get him away from the Mets. Because the Mets is going to throw $450 million.
Steve Cohen's not like if it's a bidding war, Steve Cohen is not losing to anybody, and it's gonna be so funny if it. And what's interesting to me is that nobody's really brought up the Yankees in regards to being a giant player for Ohtani, because everybody's talking about the Mets and the Dodgers really at the moment. The Mets and the Dodgers for him.
Oh, the Dodgers is coming for Ohtani. They want him too.
I really I don't see anybody outbidding Steve Cohen. I really who is going to he's the richest out of anybody. So if anybody is going to reach into their pockets and more, and it's going to be like that, he'll give them 6. He doesn't care.
Nah, everybody got a cost a maximum. You see that we only gave Correa $315 and the Giants was at $360. I mean, at the end of the day, we offered him 10 years, $290, which I thought was fair. He ended up taking 12 years, $315 from the Mets. But Steve Cohen didn't jump to $350 to get him away from the Giants. Nah, everybody they got a number that they think Ohtani's worth, and they probably gonna go up only, but so much.
He thinks he's priceless. The marketability, bro. The marketability of a Shohei Ohtani, the fan base, the more fans you would draw in with a Shohei Ohtani, the probability, like you said, this lineup with a Shohei Ohtani, just imagine it.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Like what? That's all he needs. That's literally all he needs. If you put a Shohei Ohtani in this lineup, and if one of those prospects is any good at all, it's not over because you need to stay healthy and you need to show up when it matters. But on paper, it's over. Like, this division should be a wrap every single year. It shouldn't matter what, unless the other teams in our division are training also for all-star lineups, which the Phillies, they're doing all right, and the Braves are building a lot of homegrown, but they're not bringing in what the Mets are bringing in right now. Like, they have surpassed their competition in the division, not by a giant margin, but they've definitely, on paper, before the season has started, have surpassed their division.
Let's get Ohtani and don't win the World Series. It'd be a travesty.
Yeah, it would be.
They right now, without any more additions to this team, the Mets have to compete for a World Series title. They don't got to win it, but they got to be in a mix. They got to at least be in the National League Championship. They got to at least make it there. They got to at least compete to make it to the World Series. Or this is just crazy. Like they put too much money, got too many weapons, paid the manager. Okay, they are pulling all the right strings. The Mets have to compete for a World Series championship within the next 2 years because you only got Verlander and Max for these 2 years. So at the end of the day, like the Mets is in win now. This Correa move was Cohen saying, I got 2 Hall of Fame pitchers for the next 2 seasons. And I think that if I sign Correa to this $315 million, we have a legitimate chance of contending for a World Series title. That's why he did this. That's why he did it. He doesn't get Correa if he doesn't think that the Mets was that one piece away from contending for a World Series title. So, at the end of the day, the Mets are going to have to put in the work. They're going to have to perform in the playoffs. But they're going to get there. They're going to have to perform in the playoffs, and they're going to have to compete for a World Series championship. If they're not in the championship series, it's a problem. And that's probably what Cohen is letting them guys know. Listen, you guys need to at least get to where the Yankees got last season. Okay, y'all need to be fighting to go to the World Series.
It should be World Series or bust mentality. I mean, this move just makes that apparent. I don't think that, especially a Carlos Correa that performs in the postseason like this, I don't think that anything less than a championship series, like you said, is acceptable. Anything less than a 7-game championship series isn't acceptable. I don't like. If we get swept even by any team in the National League in any form or fashion, that's a failure.
Oh, yeah, no question. No, the Mets got to compete. 7-game series, they got to take a team to the ringer. Like, they got to be, man, we fighting against the Dodgers or the Phillies or the Padres. Because let's be honest, there's 5 teams in the mix in the NL that have legitimate World Series aspirations. You got the Dodgers, you got the Padres, you got the Braves, you got the Phillies, and you got the Mets. Okay, those teams right there.
And the Cardinals, I guess, but yeah.
And nobody's scared of the Cardinals. You seen what happened to them. They got smacked up.
Yeah. I mean, you can say the same about the Mets, I guess, but now they're a whole different team. So
yeah, you can if we had kept the same roster. The Cardinals didn't get nobody in free agency.
Nope. They lost Molina because he's retiring. So they got the Braves old catcher. He can play his trumpet over there. Have fun with that. That was so corny, dude. It's like he's still fighting for that song, and he's like, "No, this is my song. This is my song."
He wasn't hating though. Apparently, he did have it before Diaz became real popular with it. So it is what it is. It's just Diaz became a little bit more popular with the song than you did. And, they kind of ran with it. But, I don't think he's hating on Diaz with it. I'm not going to throw the shade to him like that. I think it's just an unfortunate thing. They both really like the song. And Diaz is a lot more popular, and it became a thing with Diaz. But I don't hold no ill will for them. I think they even said that he might have had it first before Diaz had it. I'm not too sure. And I had to go back and check on it. But I remember they were saying on the SNY broadcast once that it's not no hating thing, that he had it for a while also. The Mets got to compete for a championship, but that the Phillies gotten better. That's also scary. And they went to the World Series, and then they went out and said, hey, we one piece away from competing with the Astros. We're going to get Trey Turner. So, at the end of the day, it's going to be a fight. The Mets are going to fight to, get to that next level and get to the championship series and compete for a chance to go to the World Series and play against either the Yankees or the Astros, because I think one of them two is going to make it out there. Don't sleep on the Yankees. I know I'm a diehard Met fan, but they've and that
rotation, as long as he can stay healthy and perform to expectations, he's nasty. So
the Yankees is looking pretty good, man. They made Judge who's a fan favorite, a captain. There's a lot going on this season. This is going to be one of the most
Mariners too. The Mariners, they looked good against the Astros, man. They held their own completely. So I wouldn't be surprised. That'd be a fun World Series. A Mariners Mets World Series would be fun.
That would be pretty fun. Listen, the Mets just need to go.
Yeah, they just need to be there.
That wants to win. Like, believe it or not, I mean, people say, oh, the Yankees haven't won a World Series since this and then or whatever. Every year, them dudes is either winning the division or they in the playoffs. You gotta get to the playoffs to have a chance.
Yeah, they missed the postseason twice, I think, in the past 30 years or something like that.
Yeah,
It's
you gotta have
a
a
crazy
chance.
number.
You gotta go. Like I want a Mets team that we don't even gotta worry about if we go into the playoffs or not. You know what I mean?
That's never happened. That's never happened.
Yeah, especially with the expanded playoffs. Like this should be a lock. Even if we don't win the division, the Mets are in the playoffs. So once you get to the playoffs, you got a chance to compete for a World Series title. We just seen the Phillies, who was third in our division, go to the World Series. You just need to get to the dance healthy and hot. If you healthy and you hot and you're in the playoffs, you got a chance to compete for a World Series title. That's just basically it. The Astros was healthy, they was hot, they went to the World Series, and they did what they do. They competed at the highest level. And that's what I want to see for the Mets. A healthy team going into the postseason, competing for a championship. Every single year, the Yankees, yeah, they're getting smacked up by the Astros. They seem to got their number, but they in the mix every year. And I think now the Mets got the opportunity to be in the mix every year. This is going to be something that is unprecedented in my lifetime, to be in the mix every single year. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, like I'm very excited to see how this progresses. It's only better.
Yeah, and speaking of next year, I think that's going to push us to our next episode in regards to what we're going to talk about next. The shift, like we were going to talk about this episode before, how that was going to impact the team. I think we're going to push that. So we're going to see how that's going to impact all the players on the team. I think it's going to positively impact almost everybody, just to give a little insight on it beforehand. But yeah, no, I think this week is the final cherry on top for this team. And we're finally on paper, just possibly on paper we are the best team in the National League. That's not even this. It shouldn't be even a question in my brain. I don't even know why I'm questioning it, just because with what we showed last year, 101 wins, adding Carlos Correa to that, subtracting a Jacob deGrom that pitched, I think, 7 starts max. I don't think he pitched more than that. Pitched for 2 months, if that. He had one good playoff start, which it was the best playoff start that we had out of the 3. But other than that, he didn't do anything for a season last year. So I think heading into next season, we just have to have that same killer mentality that we did last year. Take good at-bats, wear down starting pitching, and just score more runs than other teams. And at the end of the day, our pitching should take care of itself, health permitting. And as long as we don't have any breakdowns and consistency as well, then we should be good.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. The Mets on paper is definitely a top 3 team. There's teams on paper that look pretty good. Padres look pretty good. The Phillies look pretty good. But you throw in what the Mets are doing for the rotation, as well as, bringing in Robertson and bringing back Diaz.
And Ottavino.
The Mets, it's a very, very dangerous team. And they have put the league on notice. But when you put the league on notice, are we going to have the same amount of hit by pitches that we had last season? Are they a little salty towards the Mets? Who knows?
We'll probably have more, yeah.
Marte doesn't break his hand, and I really believe the Mets win the division by at least 1 game.
Yeah, in no way Marte doesn't add a win.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, what happens? What's the kickback? What's the rebellion that every team that plays the Mets is going to want to beat them because they're a little salty about the money that Cohen is throwing around? He's basically flexing that this money means nothing to him, and he has more to spend. And if he sees a player that he thinks can help the Mets win a World Series title, he's going to get that player. And he has the money to do it more than anybody else. And he is the second richest owner of all of sports, American sports. Okay. He has the money to pay for Ohtani, to pay for Juan Soto when he's up. He legitimately to extend Pete Alonso. I know Met fans are a little. Are we going to extend Pete? Are we going to extend McNeil? Hey man, you get Ohtani and Juan Soto, you start looking at things a little bit differently. There are a lot of first basemen. You know what I mean? He gonna get who he wants to be on his team, and he gonna pay the money to have the Mets compete for a World Series title every year. They're gonna be in a mix. So that's kind of where I want to leave things for you guys. We have a team now that's gonna be in a mix, that's gonna be in the playoffs. We might get 8-10 years straight playoff Met baseball. I don't know how many World Series we get, but I'll take 8 straight playoff. Yo, my team is in the playoffs competing for a championship. I'm good with that.
That's all we can dream for, honestly, and that's all we've been wanting as Met fans for the last 20 years. That, I mean, for me, that I've been rooting for this team about 16 years myself. I mean, they haven't spent any money besides like a Cespedes and a David Wright and these contracts every 5 years, or not even every 5 years. It just didn't happen. And now with everything just happening all at once, it doesn't feel real, and it's just a complete opposite of what we've had for so long, that it's just coming in as a shock all at once. And I'm so excited to cover this team every single week for you guys, bring you guys better and better podcasts each week, and just bringing a different vibe to the space. I mean, we're going to be putting it out, like I said, on all platforms that we can, just so everybody can hear what we got to say. And don't forget, like we said, leave a comment, leave a like on all the platforms we're putting it out on, because we'd love to hear the feedback and everything. Love to chat with you guys too. And I think that's going to be it for the My Take, Your Take podcast today, episode 2, the Carlos Correa episode. Anything else for you, Mel?
I just want to put Met fans at ease. This ain't the same old Mets. And listen, I've been a Met fan since 1998. And we've been saying same old Mets since 1998. This ain't the same old Mets. We got somebody in here that has the passion for winning that we have as Met fans. And your guy Cohen, our guy Cohen, he wants to help the Mets compete for titles. So this team gonna be in a mix. So we love you guys. Thank you so much for supporting us. And we're gonna keep doing these podcasts, and this thing gonna grow. I have a feeling something good gonna come out of this, bro. You feel me?
Yes, sir. Gotta keep going. Make something better each week. All righty. We'll see you guys. We'll be back probably next Thursday.
Yeah, next Thursday, man. The Mets is my favorite deal, so I'm always with it.
All righty. We'll see you. I removed myself instead of ending the broadcast.